All right, this is Kill You Last. I'm Peter Garachi.
I'm Alex Bashira.
And this week we have Paul Spratt. Welcome, Paul.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Thanks for dealing with the tech issues to get this started.
Yeah, it's all right. And it's funny. We were talking beforehand. Alex, Paul, and I worked together in Pennsylvania. I met you. I think I met you at the Leaf, and I knew that you worked for Wisecrackers, and I had worked for Wisecrackers. So we finally worked together. And we both live in Harlem, so I was like, oh, shit, we should have you on the podcast. And then doesn't happen. And then a pandemic happens, and Paul's like, hey, can I do your podcast?
Well, I still wanted to do your podcast
No,
before
I know. I'm
the
breaking your balls a little
pandemic,
bit. But it is like circumstances have changed, which makes things more interesting. But no, I'm super glad that you're doing this. And I'm really excited about the movie you picked. So why don't you tell us what you picked and why that movie?
I picked Bill and Ted because I absolutely love it. It's been it's like a guilty pleasure because if you try to say it's a great movie, but it's not a great movie. Like it's a mixture. It's one of those where it's great because it's bad. If that makes any sense. Like
I love it.
I love it.
I think it's a great movie. It's if you're someone who takes everything in life too seriously, then you might not like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. But in general, I think those people need to lighten up and probably don't enjoy a lot of things, let alone just good 80s movies. But to me, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Even before ever doing an 80s movie podcast or anything, I've always loved Bill and Ted. First time I saw Bill and Ted was I just happened to catch it on cable, and I had no idea what it was. I had never seen the promotional, nothing. I didn't know who Keanu Reeves was, or I didn't know that Keanu Reeves was a kid at once. Like, I saw it when I was like 8. So I didn't know. I guess The Matrix had just come out, basically. So I didn't even know those two people were the same people. So I had no background to this, and I just watched a crazy movie that I fucking fell in love with no background, which I think I got lucky. I think it's almost like better to happen on this movie.
Yeah, because somebody could have talked you out of it. You know what I mean? Somebody could have ruined it for you, like, Bill and Ted's trash. And you're like, no, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
And then I think it epitomizes all 80s comedies. Like, it shows how crazy the 80s were, where you could just do whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
No.
So my experience with this is I remember very specifically seeing this movie in the theater. Like, my mom took me and like my two best friends, and I loved it. And I don't think I've seen it since when I watched it today. And it's amazing how much I remembered from 1980. Like, I remembered Genghis Khan in the fucking sporting goods store. I remember Napoleon in the bowling alley. I remember Socrates. Like, there's individual, and it's like it just like stayed with me all this time. And going back and rewatching it, I'm like, this is the smartest dumb movie I've ever seen. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a movie about dumb people, but it's made in a smart way. And I think it's fucking great. And there's so many. I had like all these like feelings about it today because I was like, whatever happened to fucking having cool songs in movies? Like, whatever happened to just having like rock songs in friggin' movies? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff in here that I'm like, they were actually doing things better then than they're doing now.
Yeah, soundtracks movies back in the 80s ruled. Like, it's 80s movies always had the best soundtracks.
There would be an original song for that movie, you know?
Yeah. Like, I was trying to... Is this all original music, or is there, like, bands? That's what I was wondering today. I feel like there was
a lot of band... Like, they use... That's another thing, too. It's like, this movie is, like, real... it's about two guys who have a rock and roll band, but the movie's kind of rock and roll. And that, I was, like, a little nostalgic, because I was like, the fucking nerds have won. And so, like, if the world is high school, the fucking nerds won, and the dumb kids and the jocks lost, and that's how you get a fucking pandemic, because we let the nerds rule everything.
Peter, do you think you're not a nerd?
I'm a dork, maybe, but I'm mostly an intellectual elitist. That's different, though. I don't do fucking Dungeons and Dragons. I don't do Star Wars. I don't do video games. Like, that's nerd shit. Sure. And I was not a jock. I'm not saying this as someone who was a jock. I'm saying this as someone who years later realized, oh, we should have let the jocks fucking run shit. But
wait. Wait, you think the nerds are responsible for the pandemic. Because if you
No.
had to describe Trump, he's definitely not a nerd.
Yeah,
he's
but
a
Trump
jock.
is not in. Trump is not in. Trump is actually the fucking Bill and Ted of America.
That's kind of true. Yeah,
Like
or
Dr. Fauci.
I will say this: Trump is closer to Bill and Ted than Dr. Fauci is.
So,
I mean,
and
if
actually,
you look at it-
it's funny that you bring up. I actually thought about Trump watching this movie because the fact that Bill and Ted are like the saviors of the future, and everyone's like, and so it's like literally the premise of the movie is that you got two dumb guys that nobody takes seriously, and what if in the future they're actually the reason, like they save civilization? Like that's the central joke of the movie. Like that's Donald Trump. Like you get a guy that everyone thinks is like, this guy's crazy, he's an idiot, he can't do it, and then it turns out that he's outsmarted all these other so-called fucking geniuses. And I'm just like, even if you just talk about just getting elected president, like even like again, it would be like fucking Bill and Ted got elected president of the United States.
Yeah, but it wouldn't suck if Bill and Ted were the president of the United States because they
don't
care
know.
about people.
Yeah, they do. They would be excellent to each other. And
Yeah, they would be
I don't
excellent to
think
each
that's
other.
a Trump motto.
No, that's not it. But like fumbling through history is definitely a Donald Trump thing. So, but you know, I don't know. I lost my train of thought. But I really enjoyed going back and rewatching this movie. Like it's got a lot of funny stuff. And again, it's really smart about the premise of like going back through history to learn history. You know?
I love my favorite part of rewatching it is I forgot how they just skipped like at like 3/4 of the way into the movie when they were at the police station and they just skipped doing the time travel part and they just like, oh, let's just make it so we have the keys show up when we need them and they're like, here they are.
Yeah.
Like, let's leave a note. Or like they just did all that shit. They're like, fuck it, we'll just get through this. Like they just wrote their way out of trouble.
Yeah. Go ahead, Alex.
No, I was gonna say I like how it doesn't take the time travel problem too seriously because you could get really hung up on that in the movie, and it turns out no matter how many ways you think about it, you could never figure out time travel in a movie in a way that it doesn't create a plot hole. So fuck it, just let everything be possible. Let it be possible that you could go into the future and go back in time after you've done the thing already and create all these infinite loops and just don't even really think about it. Just have fun with a time travel movie, because I think when people overanalyze the time travel problem, it's like, yeah, it's a problem because time travel, we haven't figured it out yet. So clearly there's a problem. We can't write a movie about it that's perfect because we can't make a time machine. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, that was the whole premise of Back to the Future was that they kept fucking up time, and Bill and Ted was like, nah, bro, we don't even care. We don't even care.
Exactly.
We'll do whatever we want. We're going to bring Napoleon. He's going to go to a water park because it's called Waterloo. I caught that joke today, which was exciting.
Dude, amazing.
I missed that joke the whole time, and then today I was like, oh, shit.
The fact, I'm watching it and I'm going, imagine you were from the 1800s and now you're on a plastic water slide. Right. Like, you don't know what happens at the end of the water slide, right?
Yeah.
So you are actually thinking there might be impending death at the end of the water slide. I was laughing so fucking hard trying to imagine if you had never seen a water slide before and you're literally just dropped in a water slide. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, this movie is just, or like Genghis Khan in a fucking a sporting goods store.
Like,
It's
hilarious.
It's so funny
He's
to me.
looking at the aluminum bat, the baseball bat, and he bites it, and he goes, this is strong.
Yeah.
You know,
and that
light.
Billy the Kid and Socrates are just trying to fuck chicks.
Yes. Yes.
Like
they're calling Freud a nerd.
What's come up a lot in this pod, Paul, is like the centrality of high school in a lot of these movies from this generation, which I don't even think exists. And like, I mean, I remember like this movie reminded me how big the school assembly was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, I haven't thought about fucking school assemblies probably since I graduated high school. And then I'm watching this movie and I'm going, oh yeah, that was fucking a huge part of high school. And if you had to get in front of the whole school and do something, you're like, oh fuck, like this is, and so like
that could ruin your life.
Oh
yeah. And I actually, and it reminded me like the first time I ever did stand-up comedy was at a school assembly. And
really?
Like
you
that high
in school?
Yeah, like that high, we had like a talent show at school. And that high is what was like the most addictive part. I was like, oh wow, I just stood in front of the entire school and made the school laugh.
So that's what ruined your life?
Yeah.
Your
Totally.
pursuit
It's like
stand-up
that
comedy?
that first hit, you know what I mean? That first hit from the crack pipe, I was like, oh,
So
it's
you're
on,
saying
baby.
your first time doing stand-up was it when you were in high school?
No, I was so. I was actually 8 years old.
What?
Wait,
We had a talent show in elementary school, and I was
Are
very
you?
shy. At
8
that time,
years
I was
old?
like very shy, and I decided to sign up for the talent show to do stand-up comedy. And I stole a bunch of jokes out of a joke book, and then I had but I was like me, like my mannerisms and being goofy, and that got more laughs than the jokes did. And so then I was like, oh, this is powerful.
so
Like, I
what
don't
you're
have to
saying
be
is you haven't grown as a person since you were 8?
I think I'm like 12. Like
12? Yeah.
12 years old is like really kind of where I see the world.
Wouldn't it be funny if Peter is an 8-year-old, he just does a bunch of like your pussy stinks material, or like just fucking like Patrice jokes, and
Or I was an 80s movie and I'm actually trapped in my father's body.
right, you're like actually a 41-year-old man. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny.
Fuck,
Just
dude.
goes up there. TikTok.
Peter Palooza was going to be in 2 days, so I'm a little fucking sad about that.
That's
For
really
my
Oh,
funny.
wait, your birthday?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, my birthday was last Sunday, but I was planning a barbecue for this coming Sunday because last Sunday was Mother's Day.
I don't think we've talked about it. Happy birthday, Peter.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So when you turn 41, you get this beard, apparently, because fucking...
You're
I feel like-
41? No, you're
Yeah.
not.
Right? I
Yeah.
know he is.
I thought
would
we were
you-
the same age.
how old are you?
I'm 37.
4 years? Like, I mean, I guess
He's
it's
got you.
it's all of high school.
Yeah,
You would have been in 8th grade when I was a senior in high school.
Yeah, and I would have been so much cooler. No,
Probably. I would have been like, I want to grow up
to.
to be like Paul Spratt. And look, we're both fucking comedians now,
We're both comedians.
doing podcasts.
Doing podcast.
Yeah, so that's a little fucking bit of a bummer. But what are you?
Everything's a bummer right
in?
now.
Are you in the city right now?
No, I'm in North Carolina.
Is that
That's
where you're
right.
from?
That's where my parents live. I'm not from. I'm from Boston. I'm from
So they
Massachusetts.
retired down
but-
there, or
Yeah, they were like, we're gonna get the fuck out of here, and then they moved down here because it's nice. So then, when New York shut down, and then I stopped making any money whatsoever, I was like, I guess I'll go to North Carolina and wait this out. So
yeah.
So it's really fun to read all those comic statuses. They're like, all these pussy ass comedians leaving New York. And I'm like, fuck all of you.
Fuck them, dude. They're all
Yeah.
fucking... Dude, the people that gave a shit like that are... I mean, did you notice most of them have no career and
Are
and no-
bad comics.
Yeah, just like... And even if they're funny, it's just like, all right, dude, yeah, I'm going to just stay where the pandemic is the worst. Why? I didn't feel bad at all. I left immediately. I left on March
Yeah.
13th. I was out of here.
One of the things that's funny. One of the things that's funny to me is people in general who think there are rules to being a comedian.
Yeah.
So like they're the comedy police. Like you have to be on stage for 10 years before. Like what if you're really good and it happens faster? Well, no.
Which
Those are
it
the
happens
rules.
all
Like,
the time.
Who
Or
made
Chappelle.
up the fucking
Yeah.
rules? Do you know what I mean? Like I think some people are inherently like fascist, so they want to be able to tell other people what to do. And so they're like, no, you're not allowed to do that. You have to fucking, you can't have a day job. You can't, if you don't get up 7 days a week, you're not a comedian. If I went to an open mic one time and I met this guy from Canada, and I mentioned that I had a girlfriend, and he goes, oh man, that's comedy cancer. You can't have
You're
a
not gonna
girlfriend."
make it.
And then this fucking guy,
loser, dude.
he's from Toronto. He gets up on stage and he goes, yeah, dude, I keep hanging out with these chicks, but they never want to be my girlfriend after I tell them that I suck dicks. And I was like, so I swear to God, this is the guy that's trying
That
to
was
give
his
me advice.
material?
Yes, that's literally what he said. That's the premise of his joke. When I tell girls that I suck dick, they don't want to be my girlfriend.
I don't even get the joke. Is he saying he sucks at comedy, or
No,
that
he's saying
gay?
he's saying that he's
gay.
also doing sex acts with men, so he
But
doesn't
what the hell
understand.
is the joke there? Because yeah, of course they're weirded out by that. What is the joke? I
The
don't
premise
understand.
of the joke is why
mad at this
can't
guy,
I
I'm
figure
sorry.
out why
Yeah, me too.
I'm very upset.
he's
Well, it's funny.
Yeah.
Sorry, Peter. You go
No, I'm
ahead.
saying
I didn't
the
mean to cut
premise of the joke is why won't these chicks be cool about the fact that I'm sucking dicks on the side? Literally.
But that's
Well, that's the funny thing. Sorry, Alex. Go ahead.
It's
Go
not
ahead. No,
funny.
Go ahead, Paul. Paul, but it's not funny. But go ahead, Paul. Explain.
Well, the thing that bugs me is that it's funny because like dudes are like, oh, if a chick likes chicks, that's awesome, right?
Sure.
You're like, dope. Like we could do threesomes, but like for some reason, girls, when the dude's like, I also like girls and I also like dudes, are like, gross. Like,
That's true.
They're
See,
never like,
that's a good angle.
oh, we can go suck dicks together. Like, no,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's how the joke should go. That makes sense.
I mean, my whole point of even bringing it up is like that guy's telling me what the rules are for managing your private life and comedy, and then literally his whole act is about the fact that he can't get his fucking
that
life
he's
together.
lonely.
Yeah,
so
he sucks. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what happened to him. I think he became a professional poker player or something. He's probably not. I don't even know if he's doing stand up anymore.
Oh, good for him. He
Most
got
legitimate
out.
or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
that's-
I was thinking about this, Paul. Do you think a lot of people are going to be using this as a nice, quiet exit of comedy? Like a
God,
nice,
I fucking hope so.
right?
I hope there's a giant exodus
There
of
is.
people that.
I think there's going to be.
I wish they would make me comedy police because I'd start kicking people out.
Yeah, that'd be great. I
I'd
wish
be like,
there was
no,
a
you
rule.
guys can't be here anymore.
Well, because I think everybody's going to realize how hard it was. Like, it was hard before. And
Yeah.
then you go, oh, when it all goes away, then I'm fucked. So then everybody's going to be like, why am I going to pursue this again? Because, like, what? You're going to take, like, I'd imagine the first time, we're not going to do stand-up again for, like, 6 months, I feel like.
I know.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
everybody's going to be back in the beginning. You know, the longest break I've ever taken since I started is, like, a week.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 months. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to remember how to do it.
Well, what I think is interesting.
I've already forgot my entire.
Oh, I have no idea
act.
what my jokes are anymore.
I'm gonna be bad. Yeah.
I
for
maybe
sure.
remember my closer. I think I've forgotten everything else. But like Paul, like what's interesting about doing road gigs and like of course everybody wants that balance of like road and city is that like me doing city spots and then like I started featuring and then you were headlining. Like when there's 3 comics on the show and you have to travel to the club and the relationship with the booker, relationship with the venue, talking to the audience afterwards, it's so different than doing a spot in the city that I think a lot of people just think like, oh, stand-up comedy is when I do 5 minutes at this bar and then I do 5 minutes at this club and then it's like doing 20 minutes for one audience with all the logistics. Like that's where like the business part of it is, I think to me, is more clear, and a lot of people I don't think know that's what really being a working comic is. Do you know what I'm saying?
I consider being a working comic as you make money doing comedy, not because you just do it all the time. You're not a working comic.
Yeah.
Do you go to your desk job and you go there for free? No, you don't. You get paid to be there. You're a working whatever. You know what I mean? You get paid to do comedy. That's why whenever somebody's like, I'm a full-time comic, I'm like, do you pay your rent from comedy? Then no, you are not a full-time comic.
I mean, anyone that says they're a full-time comic that doesn't pay their rent doing that's such an insane thing to say, because like for instance, I have been paid to do comedy, but I definitely am not a full-time comedian. I make most of my income doing my office job. So I literally never say that I'm a working comic, a full-time comic. Especially around other comedians, like I do stand-up is basically how I would put it. But, I don't have a problem saying I'm a comedian or whatever because,
you
I
can
do
still
it.
say you're a comedian.
Yeah, but to say you're a full-time comic is like you're implying, that's basically what you're trying to get across is that, oh, I do this full-time. So it's just like,
this is what I do.
it's so strange that people try and claim that and then they're not making money.
Well, because I think
don't
it's
get it.
like no one would say I decided to be an opera singer today, but a lot of people think that they can get on stage.
Oh, right.
And guess what? You can get on stage and wing it and get a couple of laughs, but you
sure.
can't get up on stage and sing an aria in a fucking in an opera and just like happen to luck into a couple of laughs.
But
So I think it's
fucking
one of those art forms.
love-
It seems like you're just talking on stage. So people think like, oh, as long as I'm talking on stage, I'm doing the same thing that other person is doing.
I would love somebody to try amateur opera. That would
I
be
actually,
unbelievable.
you know what's funny is I did at another talent show. I worked as a camp counselor a couple summers when I was in college, and this girl that I became friends with was her college was going to opera conservatory. She was studying to be a professional opera singer, so she asked me to be in the scene with her. So she just sang to me because it would look silly for her to sing like a love scene to no one else. So I just had to stand on stage and seem like I was like into her and then sad at the end and in front of the whole fucking camp. And it was awesome. I was like, I would do that all day. Just fucking stand on stage and have somebody sing, like have a hot chick sing to you. Like, that's awesome.
See, I think that's that's the hardest part of like acting or being is just being there when somebody else is doing stuff.
Yeah.
When you're
Yeah,
just
I mean, that's
awkwardly
true.
just being like, so just like waiting for your turn to do stuff.
Well, I think
That-
in
you're
any
right.
art form, it's learning how to relax is I think the hardest part.
Yeah.
And that's related to being relaxed.
That's the funniest part. Is the secret to stand-up comedy is once you get to the point where you don't give a fuck is
Yes.
when you start getting really good.
Yeah.
It's the
Or
only.
even,
Yeah. Go ahead.
even something like I think like Patrice's pauses are funnier than most people's jokes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't do that unless you're completely in control and relaxed on stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not about like, and again, so I think one time I heard Burr talking about Patrice, and he said like, oh yeah, when Patrice like wrote material down, and they all like, I think it was on O&A, they all laughed at the idea that Patrice O'Neill would ever write a fucking joke down on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But there are fucking nerds out there that like, will calculate the syllables
Well, yeah, but
in
there's
fucking words.
but there's good comics that do that.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
and I
there's
get
a
it.
lot
Like,
of
it's,
great comics.
Yeah,
to do
yeah,
that.
yeah. So the thing about Patrice is he was like, and I know we keep bringing him up, but that's probably because me and Peter are big fans. But it's just that like he was such a phenom. He was just like a natural funny guy. Like, and he was like a prick to everyone. So like, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that didn't like him, but well, I know there was. But his personality was so once in a generation. There's not that many people that could get away with never writing a joke down. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean?
No, I'm not saying he didn't write material. I'm just saying
I'm
that
not
he
saying
was like
that.
fast
Yeah.
and loose with
Yeah.
what he was doing.
That's why he was so funny, which is
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying.
Another person I'm obsessed with is fucking Keanu Reeves, and that's another
Dude.
reason why I was excited to
Can I
talk
say
about.
this is an underrated performance?
Yes.
It really is. He's
Yes.
so good at being a fucking like aloof, just like an aloof dumb guy. Where now you could say he's still kind of like that, but not really, dude. You watch him in The Matrix, and you could see he's putting it on for this performance. Whereas, was this his first? This was his first. Movie,
No, he'd
right?
been around
No?
for a little
Oh, okay.
while, but he like started really young. Him and Alex Winter were both like Alex Winter. I just read today he was like a Broadway actor as a teenager.
Oh,
Really?
And so that's another one who's like obviously clearly a good actor and a smart guy, fucking playing dumb in a movie.
How secretly pissed do you think Alex Winter is?
About
Like subconsciously, like he wouldn't admit it because him and
I
Keanu
would- I
are probably
wondered that,
still
'cause-
boys.
so
but like
he-
Keanu's this like mega star, and he
But Alex
never
Winter,
amounted
like
to
now,
anything.
he directs like documentaries, and he's gotten opportunities to like produce shows and like be like a TV like producer and stuff like that. I think this being a star, I think if anything, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of bitter people in Hollywood, but like my hunch is that though, like the guys who are inside, like including the Alex Winters, know that the thing that makes Keanu Reeves is intangible. So it's
Yeah.
not like Keanu Reeves stole Alex Winter's spot.
Right.
Like Keanu is like a fucking like a star in the solar system, and Alex Winter's like, oh my god, I got to work with that guy. But clearly, you can see that he. I mean, I fucking love Keanu. I think Keanu is one of the greatest action stars of all time.
Sure.
I think he's one of the only ones left. I actually had this conversation the other day that there is not a lot of legit action stars left anymore.
No,
Like, in
it's
the
like
80s, there was so many.
Well, they're playing
now.
now.
None.
Now they're playing the
much like rock
dads,
bands.
you know?
Much like rock
Yeah.
bands, there are no action stars left. Just like the rock bands left in the 80s and 90s, so did the action star.
and Keanu's 55 years old. Like Keanu's been
Yeah.
in movies
Oh,
for
yeah.
40 years almost.
Yeah.
And he has like taken on another, and I think that like a lot of the 80s action stars are now starting to like do kind of like they're having fun with their persona and their reputation, and but they're playing like older guys in movies, and they're kind of having fun with it, whereas Keanu is still like the main guy and probably has like another 5 years in him of
I think
being
John
that
Wick
guy.
brought him back.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
John Wick brought him back because he was gone.
Yeah,
Keanu was
I
gone.
mean, so Alex and I met and we talked about John Wick,
Yep.
and that conversation led to this podcast.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, because to me, John Wick is a return to form of the '80s action movie, and I loved all the like illusions and like the sort of it was made by people that clearly loved the movies that I loved when I was a kid, and they did it really well, and they did it smart, and it was like it came out of nowhere, and people were like, what the fuck is this movie? And now it's become this huge phenomenon, and I think largely because of how well they made it, and because fucking Keanu Reeves is John Wick is awesome.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope they make it until he's in like a wheelchair with an oxygen tank. Like
See-
they can keep making them, and I would not give a fuck.
I'll keep watching them, but like part of me wanted like my dream for Keanu Reeves is that he made 3 John Wicks and then Keanu Reeves the person like disappeared and you never heard from him again. And so the last like so then now he was just like became this like legend of he made these 3 movies. It's like J.D. Salinger, you know what I mean? Like he becomes this like pop icon, and then like the legend grows just because you never hear from the guy again.
Yeah.
So clearly that's not going to happen. But like I
Such
kind
a
of
selfish desire to want your
that's for
Yeah,
me.
you
That's
just
my
want
to
personal
be a
wish.
fucking hermit weirdo like J.D. Salinger.
That's my personal wish for Keanu Reeves.
he's
I don't
got a
want to
great
see him in
life.
other movies.
Let him have a good life, you know.
Well, I don't like. So now he's doing another Bill and Ted's
Yeah,
with the 2 of them together.
yeah.
That's what I'm really interested in to see what that because Keanu to go back as that guy. Do you think it's going to be harder for him or easy?
I think he's gonna have a ball with it because
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of Keanu memes out there, and I think he's a pretty self-aware guy. It's not like he hasn't seen those, so I think he's gonna really lean into it. And clearly, he could do it. I mean, I know it was like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, but he can be Theodore. Ted, you know, like he could be Ted. He's so good at it. It's crazy to me because like you could like I all of us could probably do an impersonation of Ted.
Whoa.
But, yeah, sure, but you can't nail it like he did.
No.
He's so good at it. It's
he even does Ted in the Matrix.
does he do that
If you
in the
think
Matrix?
about it.
What do
Yeah,
you mean
when
like
he
the
had-
whole character, or do you mean
He no, well, kind of, but
little
even
bit.
at one point, there's like an homage, kind of. I don't know if you consider it when
oh is
Morpheus
this in the first one?
yeah, in the first one when Morpheus jumps over the building, he's like, you can, and he's like, whoa.
Oh yeah, he does do that. That's intentional homage because that
I don't
would
know
be
if
great.
that's intentional,
Oh, that
but
makes
it's
me
great.
like it more. Yeah,
He's like, whoa.
The thing about like I'm not excited necessarily about another Bill and Ted, but I do think for
Why?
whatever
Oh, I am.
I'm
I think
super
there's
excited.
I think there's
Yeah, I
now
fully
a
disagree.
I think there's now a track record where whether it is doing like Creed for Rocky or doing like the Cobra Kai
Rambo-
TV
the
show
new
for
Rambo.
there's a track record now of guys in Hollywood who also love those 80s movies and they're like honoring what was great about the original. So like I trust that they're not going to put it out there and it's not going to be good. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure the people that are doing it love what's great about the original enough that they're going to put their all into it and make it into something good.
Well, as long as it's an interesting take, that's why Creed was good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because it was an interesting take. They forced a lot of Creed, I feel like, but it was still great.
I
The second
agree.
one was hard forced. The first one
Oh,
was really
Creed
good.
2 was
The second
terrible. It made
one-
me
Creed 2 was like, whoa. Like they
Creed
tried
2
to-
was Rocky 4 rehashed but with none of what made Rocky 4 cool.
Yeah. But I think because from what I've read about Bill and Ted 3 so far is that they have a family, they have kids that are teenagers, and their kids are smart and they're stupid. That's
I love it.
all I've got so
I
far.
already
fucking love
laughing.
it. I'm watching that movie, dude.
That's all I've
I'm
got so
already
far.
laughing.
Yeah, and they're you know the end of this movie basically they find out that they're basically worshipped in the future. So I do want to see how they play with that angle of them becoming like a famous rock band because they're gonna have to address that, right?
Well, I'm wondering because when I watched it today, I was wondering because the future that they go to is 2688, so they're not still alive, right? So they had to have started the future. This movie's got to be when that started, I would guess.
What I'm
right?
saying is they're such a legendary rock band apparently that they
Wild
changed
Stallions.
the world like hundreds of years later, which is such a ridiculous premise. But if that's the case, then they're going to be rock stars, soon. So I would imagine they have to address that, or maybe it goes wrong or something. But they can't not address it in this movie, in the new movie.
Yeah, but would it be the same without Rufus?
Right, because he is all legendary talented. Fucking George Carlin's shredding at the end of this movie.
When
Which
they don't know how to
basically we
play at all.
They don't know how to play at all, and he's shredding like a ridiculous. It's like such a. It's everything in this movie is hilarious. Like that's such a hilarious degree of shredding. I play guitar and just nothing that Carlin did is possible, and even if it was, it's so not him playing. Like, just the whole shot is stupid. It's so
Well, they
funny.
cut out. They shoot him from like
cut-
so you know it's 100%.
They show his like
somebody else.
thigh and his like
Yeah.
arms. Yeah.
Why do you guys think that George Carlin wasn't a bigger movie star?
I don't think he wanted to be.
Yeah, I think that's probably it.
movies that he wanted to do.
I think it's probably it. I think he had probably every opportunity to do as many movies as he wanted to do, and
He was.
But I mean, if you
he had
think about it-
principles. He stuck to his principle. He didn't want to sell out. Like,
Yeah, but all the movies that he's in, you remember forever.
yeah,
Yeah.
Dogma.
I mean, Dogma.
I like Dogma.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta. I forget what's the line. You gotta suck. You gotta give a little head to or something. I forget how
Something
it
like
goes.
that. Fuck, I haven't seen. I'm gonna rewatch Dogma now because I haven't seen that in a while.
I forget
wasn't
Yeah,
he like the conductor on Thomas the Tank Engine or
something like that. Something weird.
Some
Well,
kid's
Carlin
thing.
has like a crazy story. He was like a Christian guy,
Yeah.
and then he was part of some duo. And then
Yeah.
I think his buddy died in like a weird way, and then he
Well,
became what we know now.
He started out as the hippy dippy weatherman, so he had like a sketch character that he would do on talk shows, and then he started doing more like heavy. Same thing is true of Pryor. Pryor was basically like a Bill Cosby clone, was doing TV shows, and he kind of was like, "Fuck this! This is not really who I am." So he started like doing more raw material. I think they kind of like. They were sort of like Bird and Magic, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, Carlin Pryor. Yeah.
So they had this like they're friends, but they were also had this competition with one another, which I think kind of drove both of them. But like Richard Pryor, and we did Blue Collar, which is fucking an amazing Richard Pryor performance in that movie. But Richard Pryor did a lot of shit movies, and I'm sure Pryor saw that and was like,
Carlin.
I'm sure Carlin saw that and was probably like, nope, don't feel like doing that. Because that's the thing with comedians. It's like, and you like when I learn about how the business works. It's like every guy gets those opportunities. Like we were saying with Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. Alex Winter took those meetings and had auditions and all this other stuff. But like Keanu Reeves is a fucking force of nature. It's just a different thing, you know. So I'm sure George Carlin was probably offered a lot of stuff that he turned down.
I'd imagine he was offered so much. But I mean, Keanu also has done a lot of trash.
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And that's
He's
why
done
his like
some bad movies.
he's had a weird
still-
career.
And it's crazy because I didn't watch it, but he still does bad movies.
Oh yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That's part of my John Wick and disappear thing. It's like I don't want to see Keanu now like being made fun of for doing a shitty movie.
Well, no, he snuck one in after the first Wick. He did some weird honeymoon wedding movie with
Yeah.
what's her face from Stranger Things.
Winona Ryder?
Yeah,
really?
I think so.
that sounds
yeah.
horrible.
She's in this one. She's in Bill and Ted.
Wait, she is?
Joan of
Yeah,
Arc.
she plays Joan of Arc.
No, she's not Joan
That's
of Arc.
definitely her.
That's
no way.
definitely her.
That looks just like her.
I'm gonna IMDb it right now. There's
It
no
looks like
way.
her in fucking Beetlejuice.
She is in Beetlejuice.
Yeah, I'm saying it
I
looks
know,
like
that's what we're
80s
saying.
Winona Ryder.
I'm looking it up
Mike-
right now. There's no way. I would know.
I'm pretty sure. but-
I was keeping track of Winona Ryder's career at this point, and I would have remembered if she was in fucking Bill.
Boom. Yes, she is.
Why does that
She's
sound
in.
so creepy?
Dude, she's in. I have it on my phone. Yeah, it does. Yeah, you've been keeping track of
No, at that time I was like, oh, Winona Ryder.
Yeah, I was really keeping tabs
That's not
of
what
where her
keeping
career
track
went.
means. Oh, Winona
You know what
Ryder.
I mean.
No, I mean, you're a creepy guy. You're
No,
in
I'm
your 40s, you know.
Winona is age appropriate for me.
She's older than you.
She might be. Yeah, I'm saying it's age
She's
appropriate.
in it, dude. I just researched it.
Oh,
I love how he
IMDb
doesn't
said
believe-
so?
Yeah.
Wait,
I love how he doesn't believe me.
No, it's not
Does she
that
have
I-
any speaking lines, though?
No,
I don't remember.
she doesn't even
I don't
speak.
think she said anything. Yeah, right?
She's just like
No,
she's
it's
even
not.
French.
Joan
That's
of
her.
Arc is Jane Weedlin.
What do you mean,
That's the name of the actress who plays Joan of Arc in this movie.
dude? No way. That's
Yes.
her.
It
Oh
looks.
shit, you're right. Fuck.
What did you Google?
I googled Winona Ryder, Bill and Ted.
Yes.
It's a common search, and it comes up pictures of Joan of Arc from Bill and Ted. But I guess a lot of
Well,
people
you're-
make the same mistake.
You're not the only one that thought it.
No,
because I
definitely
agreed
not.
with you too. I was like, yeah.
Like my burden in life that I have to carry with me at all times is it brings me no joy being right. Like
shut
it
the
really
fuck
doesn't,
up,
because
dude.
I'm constantly
Yeah, it does.
fighting against
Yeah,
people who are telling
yeah,
me that I'm not right. when I am.
Right.
Don't
I'd
lie.
rather
Being
just be-
right brings so much joy. It brings so much joy.
I'd rather just play in a rock band and be stupid. Like good looking and stupid is the best way to go through life. Like this is a burden that I carry with me.
Right.
at
Too
all
bad you're
times.
just ugly and right. Yeah, that's
Are you guys one of those beliefs that comics are people who just wanted to be rock stars and can't, so we became comics?
There's some truth to it. I don't think it's 100% true.
I have no musical ability and
I
no
don't,
ability to sing.
But that doesn't mean I didn't want to be a rock star.
I think it would be pretty fucking rad, and I might if you could like wave a magic wand, I might do it.
You might do it.
Like
I mean,
Switch?
Who wouldn't do it?
I would do.
Yeah, I would
You know what I would
100%
do?
switch.
I would do Brazilian soccer star.
Yeah, star.
What?
We're talking about star.
Brazilian player who plays on the Brazilian Olympic team. I would fucking do in a second.
Why?
Because those guys, they make money, they fucking live amazing lives, and you go back to Brazil, a country of like 300 million people, and
He
you're
likes
a god.
that skin tone.
Peter, they don't leave Brazil.
Yes, they do.
play
They go play in
Brazil.
Europe.
Yeah,
No,
but
they
you
do.
said
They
when you
leave
go
Brazil.
back to Brazil, like they left, like their
No,
house
they-
isn't in Brazil.
They go.
No,
they
it's
live
not.
in. They live in Europe.
They
and
live in Europe. He's
Oh,
right.
really?
Oh, if you
Yeah,
play
yeah,
for
if
the
they play,
Brazil national team, you play in basically like
I'm talking about
Real
guys who like
Madrid.
play in Italy, Spain,
Yeah.
France, England, because then you have a fan base in that country and Brazil.
That's how it works, basically.
That
If you're
shows
like
how much I know
Neymar-
about soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
I only know. I only know
ahead.
because I spent time living in Italy, and it's like so weird. Like that the soccer world is so strange to Americans. It doesn't even make any sense.
Well, yeah, it's very strange because there's so many different countries involved. Whereas, like with American sports, it's only
yeah,
states.
you have to know like all the European leagues.
Yep.
And the World Cup stuff.
Yep.
And in Europe, they have annual European tournaments, like tournaments every 4. Like there's all these different.
It's a lot.
Soccer players play soccer like 280 days of the year. Like that's why they fucking like their career sometimes lasts 3 years because they burn out.
The one thing I do love that I wish American sports would adapt is that if a team blows in soccer, they like lower them into the shitty
Yeah.
leagues. Like if you're bad, you get lowered. You have to work your way back up. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And then when a team bumps back up to the major league and they represent a certain city, that city is like they
Loses
go
their
fucking
shit.
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like your whole city just got legitimacy that it didn't have last year.
The Jets wouldn't even be a team at this point.
That's
I think.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least, are you a Jets fan, Paul?
No, I'm a Patriots fan.
Oh yeah, he's from
Oh,
Boston.
good for
dude.
you.
There's no way.
Good for you.
I'm from Massachusetts. I'm not a bandwagon fan. I've liked them before Brady.
No, I believe you. Well,
There
now
was
that
a
now
time
he's gone.
before
so
Brady.
How do you feel about
And
the
I'll like
dynasty
them
being
now.
over? Yeah.
And I wouldn't call it over yet.
It's
Might
looking
have a
pretty
down
rough
year.
right now.
It's going to be pretty.
Yeah,
we're going to be
who's
bad.
your
We're going to be
quarterback
bad this year.
again?
Jared Stidham.
Yep,
I don't
exactly.
fucking know. I know he sucks. I know
Did
he
they draft
sucks.
him?
A while,
He
a
was-
couple years
he-
ago. Yeah.
He was the
Right?
backup the last 2 years to Brady.
Oh, I got
since
you, I got you.
Garoppolo left.
Yeah, they did
But he
draft.
blows. He
Well,
blows.
I don't know. Who knows? They'll probably turn him into a 10-win quarterback somehow.
Yeah.
Because
They'll figure out a way.
fucking.
It's funny. I was
mastermind.
watching old episodes of Cheers, and they're always lamenting how bad the Patriots are.
Yeah, they used to be awful.
Yeah.
In Cheers. No, I mean, and I remember it. I remember when they but it's like it's just funny to
I
go
don't.
back and watch that stuff, and it's like people hanging out in the bar just talking about how terrible the Patriots are. It's like I was like,
They
if
were
only
the
you guys could
worst
go to the
team in-
future.
They were
The
so
NFL.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they're the best by far in any American, like the best dynasty, longest lasting dynasty in American
Yeah, probably to
sports.
never be touched
It
again.
won't. It's too
Yeah.
long. It was 20 plus years. Anyway, I actually went to college in Boston. I went to Northeastern. Did you go to school there, or did you kind of?
I went to Wentworth,
Oh, right there, Wentworth,
right
Yeah,
across
yeah.
the street, basically.
I had a few friends at Wentworth. Yeah, is that the engineering school?
It's an engineering school, yeah. I went for
Yeah.
computer science.
Yeah,
I
had a couple
was
of
smart at one point.
Yeah, I had a couple of friends that went there. Yeah, we shared a field. I think we shared like a football.
Yeah,
when
like
I
a
went
rugby
there.
field or something
Yep.
like that. Some
Yep.
weird. Because my roommate in college was rugby, and he was out of his fucking mind. And then
Oh, yeah, that's 'cause
I
friends.
hung out with a couple girls at Northeastern because there was no girls at Wentworth. It was all
Wentworth is
dudes.
all dudes. Dude.
All dudes.
It's literally all white and Asian dudes. That is
Yeah,
the
it was
Is
whole
it
the
an
thing.
worst.
engineering school?
Yes, the whole thing.
Oh, okay, that
Yeah,
makes
it was just Asian kids and white dudes.
And then you have the Northeastern, like Northeastern is basically like the NYU, one of the NYUs. BU and Northeastern are like NYUs. They're like huge schools.
Huge.
Yeah. So you have like international kids. You have like a lot of hot girls. Like, you know, you would want to be on Northeastern's campus, I
That's
think.
why, like, I get the appeal of New York, but if you want to go to college
Go to
and you want
Boston.
to have a good time, you gotta go to Boston. Because, like,
Abso-fucking-lutely.
because it's Wentworth and then Northeastern, and then up the street is all the art schools.
Yep.
So
Mass
Emerson
art,
and all that stuff,
Emerson,
and
yep.
just mad girls.
Dude, yeah, even like going to Harvard parties was unreal. Like I was like dating a chick that went to Harvard freshman year, and we were, dude, the amount of money that people have that are in Harvard, it's like the parties are crazy. Like, you would think it's all like a bunch of nerds. It's not at all. It's like very hot girls and hot guys, and just like lacrosse, and just, you know, it's Boston is the place to go to school. It is so much fun. There's a lot of drinking. There's a lot of partying. People that go to school in New York, it's a huge mistake. I
Like, what are
agree.
you doing?
You're paying $70,000 a year to live in a fucking tiny apartment, and you don't even have a campus. You don't even have like a centralized campus. What are you doing?
Nope.
Yeah, I always wanted to live in New York City, but I never even thought about going to college in New York City.
Yeah, do it.
Like, I wanted to
after.
go to college somewhere,
Yeah.
and then move to New
then
York
move
City.
to New York City. That's what you do. That's I mean, I did that, but I'm not saying do that because I did that. I'm just saying, like, if you want to live in a city, New York, it's not the place to be when you're in college and you have to go to classes. It's the place
Yeah.
to be when you
No.
have a ton of freedom.
When you're
and
an adult.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I
when
like-
you're an
I
adult
like
doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah, I like
Fucking
campuses.
loser.
I wanted to be on a campus. I didn't want to be in the city. I wanted to be on a college campus, hanging out with other college students.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No, that's exactly it. So I don't know.
That's
Sorry.
what
Yeah, go ahead.
That's why I never got people who they're from New York,
Yeah.
and then they go to NYU. I'm like, don't you want to see what other places are like?
No, they're dicks. They
Yeah.
People
Don't
who
you
are
wanna-
very narrow-minded, stupid people. I
Yeah,
think.
like
Yeah.
go somewhere else and see what it's like, and then come back so you can appreciate where you're from more.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing this pandemic has made for me is that I've been out of New York for like 3 weeks, and then I count being out of it when I was like stuck in my apartment and couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I legitimately miss New York now.
Yes.
Like
Me too.
when I was in it and doing shit, like I didn't like enjoy it. I was like, New York kind of sucks. And now that I couldn't do what I was doing, I was like, no, I kind of miss it. Like I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you a new appreciation for it.
Everyone in New York City gets off on how busy they are, and like then it's like such a status thing where it's like, oh, I would love to do this, but I'm so busy, and now nobody's fucking busy, and I ride my bikes around the city, I walk, and like I'm here and I'm sad and loving it at the same. You know what I mean? Like I'll go by the river and I'll just like look out and be like, this city is fucking spectacular, but I'm sad that that things are the way that they are. But yeah, it is. I'm like nostalgic for it while I'm still in it at the same time.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's not the same now. It's
It's
closed.
not the same. It's making everyone miss it, but it's also, I think, giving a lot of people anxiety because it's like, is it ever going to go back?
But then also,
it
like,
was.
hopefully, like, people that came just for the money part of New York will probably realize it's not worth it, and or that they can work from home wherever they live
Yeah.
and
Well, I'm
not
actually
have to be
hoping-
here.
That I saw it a little bit before I left. Like I left, but I'm planning on coming back. I had to leave, but there was moving trucks everywhere on my street. Like I feel like there's
Oh,
a
wow.
giant exodus of
Yeah.
people that are not going to come back, and that's what I'm hoping. I hope you go back and it's like 80s, 90s New York. That's what I want. Where it's
So
like,
well, go ahead. I'm sorry, Paul.
no, go ahead. I was done.
I was gonna say I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but they're fun.
I mean,
Conspiracy
yes,
theories are
you are. Though.
I'm
You
just-
say
I'm
that,
having
but
fun with
we bring up
conspiracy
one
theories.
every episode.
So
mean,
I concocted a little conspiracy theory of my own that I think I invented.
Go ahead.
So
Can't wait.
I was riding my bike. I used to work by Hudson Yards as they were finishing like phase 1 of Hudson Yards.
Right.
So then I was like, oh cool, like this is finally going to be done. The fucking Highland, blah blah blah. And I haven't been over that way in years. It's probably been at least like 2 years since I've been over there. So the other day I'm riding my bike, and it's like I'm like riding my bike on the sidewalk in Times Square. I'm like, this is fucking incredible. And then I'm riding my bike through the meatpacking district. Yeah. And I'm looking, and the fucking Hudson Yards is just growing. Like, it's just everywhere you look. Now. Everywhere you look on the west side over there is like brand new skyscraper on top of skyscraper. So my can't prove it hunch conspiracy theory is fucking storefronts are going empty in New York City. Like, stores are leaving, restaurants are leaving because people can't pay the rent.
Yeah,
and now you're going to do billions of dollars of new real estate with new restaurants, new high rises, new condos. I think that there's some kind of boondoggle there where they realized the city was going to be fucking bankrupted by this project. And they were like, we have to do something to like stop this and just basically shut down the economy.
This
and
is
fucking hide.
Yeah, this is a terrible.
There's no way
theory.
they would shut down
Why not?
the entire economy because of one real estate problem. That's insane.
Real estate problem. It's the biggest real estate undertaking in the history of mankind.
But it's not the biggest issue.
It's the biggest. Of course it is.
Billionaire real estate person.
Yeah, well, you can't. I heard somebody say in a podcast, if you owe $50,000 to the bank and you can't pay.
Yeah,
that's your problem. If you owe $100 million to the bank and you can't pay, that's the bank's problem. Like that's how the 2008 financial crisis happened.
Right, but like a mass exodus to solve going bankrupt is to force yourself to go bankrupt.
They just like shut everything down and stop them. You know when they put somebody in an induced coma, so that they don't fucking die. Like they put the city in an induced coma.
Yeah, but I don't
know, man.
Again, this is just my fun. You guys are like. Yeah. I don't know. I just pulled this out of my ass. Yeah. But I think it might actually.
You got all mad when I said it wasn't true. I don't know.
But here's my thing: 75% of the restaurants in New York are probably going to be gone when we come back.
Yeah.
Because I read online somewhere, I don't know where, and who knows if it's real, but it made sense to me. Is that most of these restaurants have enough money to survive maybe a month.
2 months, a month.
Yeah.
Maybe two.
No, that's just general business practice, yeah.
Mid-August, September, the Blasio's saying. Yeah. Like, they're done. They're done.
I was in the restaurant business for a long time.
Yeah,
I was never an owner, but I was a manager, and I was like involved in like buying wine and liquor. So I started to see the numbers and study the numbers. The restaurant business does not make any sense. But New York City is a restaurant city.
Yeah.
So you have all these people moving here because they want to be artists and comedians and blah, blah, blah. So they work at restaurants to support themselves. And then you just happen to have a city where you have rich people who go out to eat all the time.
Yep.
Dude, my fucking parents in Jersey, they go to a restaurant 3 times a year.
Yeah.
I used to have clientele that would come to the restaurant 3 times a week.
Right.
So if that and the funny thing is what I started to notice even in the last couple of years in the restaurant business is I was hiring people. I was working in one of the top restaurants in New York City, and the applicant pool was garbage. And so I'm like, I don't think people are moving to New York City anymore and getting those restaurant jobs. So I'm already like, oh shit, like what's happening? And that was 3 years ago. So now, like, it's unsustainable. And the reason that they always say like, 70% of restaurants go out of business the first year. The reason that happens is that there's really 2 reasons. One is because people want to have a restaurant because they think it's a status symbol to own a restaurant, and they don't know what they're getting themselves into, so they get their clock cleaned. But even the experienced people, what they do is you basically need a year of cash reserves to ride out the first year, because the minute the doors open, you're making money, but now you got to make payroll, and now you got to pay utilities, and now you got to pay the liquor bill, and you got to pay the fucking soda bill. So people who don't have cash right away, don't have cash on hand, they get fucking bled to death just by paying their bills and their payroll. So that's when things are going good. Yeah. So now you shut a restaurant down for 3 months. There's no. I heard somebody say no business forecast for 0 revenue.
Yeah,
you just can't do it.
You can forecast for a slow time.
Yeah, of course you plan for slow. You don't plan for nothing.
Yeah.
No. No business, 0 business. You can't.
No, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Alex.
I was going to say the only businesses that could last something this long would be like a corporation, like a chain of restaurants.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what's happening. Amazon's doing great. Whole Foods is doing great.
But New York City is a city of small business, independently owned, amazing restaurants, and it's really
Right.
sad that
And also, a lot of the business that's in New York City is in New York City because of the status of having New York City. I'm sure a lot of those bigger name places are not even making money off their New York City
right.
stores.
It's like a big
but
billboard. It's like a
you know, what I mean? Like
life-size billboard.
Europeans and Japanese people who come to New York because they want to go shopping for clothes and sneakers in New York City, and they don't know that they can go to the fucking mall in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and pay half price for the same shit because they want to be in New
All
York
right,
City.
let's not be so judgmental. You wouldn't know where to go in there.
I'm not.
You
I'm
sound
not
like
being.
such a like shit-eating grit. Like,
No,
oh,
no,
they don't
I'm not
even
saying
know about Elizabeth, New Jersey.
I'm just
Yeah,
that's
they
where I'm,
don't.
that's where I'm from. And
I know.
The funny thing is that there's a big outlet mall there that people from New York City actually go to all the time
Yeah.
because they know to fucking go get discounted shit over there.
Right.
Well, it's a move. You know what I mean? Like when you live in New York, you know everything's more expensive there, so you go outside. But people who come to New York to shop, they don't know that there's a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
They have no idea. Yeah.
What have
no
you,
idea.
Paul? What have you been doing to stay busy in these times? Like, what does your life look like now that we're doing this shit?
I'm just putting a gun in my mouth and then spinning
wow.
the chamber, and then every day I just keep going.
Oh wow, you've made it.
You're like
No,
Mel. You're like Mel
so
Gibson in the
far.
beginning
I mean,
of
every
Lethal
day.
Weapon.
Yeah, just like no, it's brutal. You know what I mean? To go, I mean, even when I was in New York, it was hard because you go from not even thinking about how to fill time, right? Because you're like, I'm work, then you go to comedy or whatever you do, and then
Sure.
whenever free time you get, you're like, fuck, I'll go do something else. Now you have all of the time, but there's nothing to do, which is even worse. That's what
Yeah.
drives me insane. Is that, I mean, you can find some work, but I'm out of work, so like I'm putting some freelance shit together, but.
Yeah.
If I don't have anything, I have nothing to do. And it's not like you can write. You can write, but like,
It's really
how do you know
hard.
if it's any good?
You can't
When you
test it.
Yeah.
And the only thing
Yeah.
in the news is coronavirus.
Yeah,
it's
so what are you
like-
going to write about? You know what I mean?
know.
The same shit everybody's writing about. You know what I mean?
It's going to become so hacky immediately when we
It's
get
gonna
back
be
to
brutal.
clubs. Yeah.
I do think this is like what people want right now is conversation and they want like connection. And so like the Zoom and the podcasting, this kind of stuff is like the perfect medium
is.
for the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
what's
And
your
that part-
stance on these Zoom comedy shows?
Have
Have you done any? I refuse to do them.
I
I
haven't
think,
done
Alex,
it.
I don't know if you know that I did one right after we talked about me not wanting to do one.
No, I didn't know you
So
did
I
one.
got roped in. I didn't get roped in. Like I went into one just to check it out, and then they were like, "Hey, Peter, do you want to?" And I actually went to the grocery store while I was on
Yeah, okay.
the Zoom.
So you
and
didn't
then
do
I
stand-up. You did,
started
like a
bitch-
storytelling.
and I started bitching about
Right.
the fact that my friend is running. This is like the 5th Zoom show that he's done, and today was the first time. I'm like, what were you waiting for to tell me that you had a fucking Zoom show? Like you didn't have any time. You know what I mean? So I just like ranted, and to me that felt funnier and more organic than fucking doing bits.
Well, how do you
Yeah.
even do bits like this? You know what I mean? What am I
You
going
don't.
to tell you a joke? You don't hear anything back. How do you do the pauses or the timing? And then I saw somebody's status today. I commented on it because you know what? I have time.
Yeah.
That somebody was like, "Oh, all the comics that are bitching about Zoom shows being shitty are just shitty comics." And I was like,
no.
"I bitch about them, and I'm a good comic."
Yeah,
I
and
was like,
also
fuck
Tim Dillon bitches about him, and he's fantastic. So whoever
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
that is a moron. Honest, I don't know who said that,
actually-
but yeah,
Think it's bad for comedy.
I could see what you. Yeah, because people are going to get the impression that this is like what comedians are capable of, and it's like no. You go to a live show, that's what they're capable of.
Yeah.
This is not a good advertisement for stand up at all.
And it's all bad.
It is.
Yeah,
It's bad.
Well, like, and I feel like
here's something. YouTube comedians, like not stand-ups, people that make funny YouTube videos and have big followings, right?
Right.
There's always been like a clash between stand-ups and those people because the YouTube people can go on tour. They have these huge audiences and they make a lot of money. And yeah, they're not stand-ups or stand-up trained, or they probably can't do a stand-up show. And their live show probably isn't that great. Their YouTube video, their online content is great, especially
great.
compared to fucking stand-ups and what they're doing. So
Right.
I think this is a big wake-up call for stand-ups to teach yourself how to fucking edit something. Teach yourself, because this, yes, we're in a pandemic, but that shit is an invaluable skill. You're gonna need, whether you either have to be a good enough comic that you have people that want to edit stuff for you, or you're gonna have to build your empire by yourself. And online media is not going away. You need to do this shit anyway. So I took it upon myself, and I know that it's not necessarily like a homework assignment. Pandemics are stressful, yada yada. I heard someone say like, oh, everyone's saying you need to be more productive. It's triggering. And it's like, I'm not trying to trigger anyone. I'm just saying you should, if you're a comic, if you're in the creative field, if you're in live entertainment, you should use right now and the lack of work that you have to hone in on online media skills, editing, basic stuff, so that maybe you can be entertaining online. And maybe you won't have a big audience. Maybe it'll take a long time. But I mean, when we get back to stand-up, maybe you can chop up your tapes and make it more entertaining for people. Because, I mean, I don't know how long this is going to last, but I do know that having an online audience was helping people before this anyway. So
it was always, that's the funny thing is like, and Pete, how long have you been doing comedy? You've been around a while too, right?
Me, like 6-7 years. Yeah.
How long you been doing it, Alex?
I've only been doing it 3 years, so I know I'm very new. Yeah,
I've been doing like 11. It's a long time.
Yes.
And I've been on the road the most time. But so I get the business, and you meet a lot of people. And Pete, you meet a lot of people on the road. That's what every New York comic needs to do, is go on the road. That's where you learn how the business is. And it's always funny, New York comics always shit on YouTube comics. So like, oh, fucking those YouTube guy. But then Andrew Schultz does exactly what YouTube comics do. Right. And now he's a god.
Look at
you know what I mean?
Because he had both. Because he had the stand-up ability and then developed the fucking YouTube ability, which was...
But nobody shits on him.
Yeah,
no,
he's respected. He's inside
because he has the stand-up ability. Because you can't take it away from him.
I feel like I've had this conversation 100 times during the pandemic. But like, to me, it's like being funny is one thing, and stand-up comedy is a subset of being funny. So to me, stand-up comedy is I'm alone on a stage, and there's 100 people looking at me, and I got a microphone. It's a thing. It's its own. It has an ending, and you're talking to the audience. But being funny is being funny. And so right now we have a different medium. The medium of stand-up comedy doesn't exist right now. But like this other medium. And again, I'm not good at... I don't think I'm particularly good at any... I mean, I lean on Alex for all this shit. But like I have some ideas now for like videos that I want to make. And to be honest, I've been like learning how to get good at carpentry while this is all happening. But it's another creative outlet for me. But... yeah, you can't just like. I mean, we're not. I mean, you can lament that fucking radio doesn't exist anymore, or that no one has a phonograph anymore, or you can decide like, oh, this is the new technology, so we're gonna make an art form that's for the new. We're not doing Greek tragedy anymore either in the fucking amphitheater. Like it just things change.
Well, and by all means, do your Zoom stand-up shows. And make them something a little bit different, maybe, or make them entertaining and feel it out and figure it out. But to call it to try and do what you do on stage on Zoom, I think it's foolish because it's just it's trying to force a square peg into a round hole. It's going to make stand up look bad because it's not good.
But that being said, and again, like I think we're as comedians, we sometimes are insular and we think we're making this stuff so the other comedians can judge what we're doing. When I talk to regular people right now, they're like, "Oh, I wish you would make more stuff because I'm sitting at home and I would love to have something new to watch." So we have to like remember too, like we make stuff so that other people can enjoy it.
Make more stuff.
If the thing that we make, right, this might be a great opportunity to develop an audience that didn't exist when we were just doing clubs,
100%.
Well, it's so weird. Comics just want to shit on each other for trying to improve themselves. It's so weird that...
it's very high school.
You're gonna start another podcast? Just we need another fucking podcast. Blah, 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 blah. And what if it blows up? Everybody's shit on TikTok. Now it's the fucking biggest thing right now.
I know.
And now everybody's on it. Every comic that I saw that was like, fuck TikTok, it's bullshit. Now everybody's on it.
Literally
everybody's on it.
And people were, people were and still do shit on podcasts. But I mean, remember in the beginning of podcasting, like before I even started doing stand-up, I remember, because I've always been a stand-up fan, I remember when stand-ups were like, oh, what's a podcast? Bullshit. And it literally made everyone's careers. Like anyone that's big now is big off a podcast. And it's like, I still hear people going, oh, you're going to fucking start a podcast. You're another white guy with a podcast. It's like, yeah, I'm another white guy with a podcast that might, it might make my entire life. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't
I don't know if I even had this
try?
conversation with you, Alex, but like there was a moment where I was like, "Oh shit, I might have to get a regular job."
Yeah,
And
yeah. I think.
and I thought it was gonna be working nights, and I was not gonna be able to do stand up, and of course I got fucking sad about that.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, you know what? I'll still find a way to do the podcast with Alex.
Aw,
And that
that's
was
sweet.
and that was no, and it's like that was a relief to me because I'm
Yeah.
like, I love doing stand up and I love doing the podcast. And if I can't do stand up, thank God that I have the podcast.
I feel the
The
same way,
best
man.
thing
Go ahead.
that I ever learned, and I recently learned it, which has helped me, is to not give a fuck about what any other comic tells you should or shouldn't do. Do you think Andrew
hard.
Schultz gives a fuck that about any of that stuff? Just do it. Just do whatever you want to do.
It sounds
like,
so
who
simple. It sounds so simple, but that really is hard, especially for me. You know, a 3-year comic. I care about what other comics think. Of course,
Yeah,
I
but
do.
you know how much I
It's-
wasted so much energy
I'm
caring
sure.
about what other comics do, and then I could be so much further
Yeah.
if I just did what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like, and
It's kind of
whatever,
like
you
that
know?
thing about like not being embarrassed to put yourself out there, like just in general, like at a party, like with women
Yeah.
or whatever. You kind of have to creatively be okay with like, hey, I'm gonna start creating this thing on my Instagram. I'm just gonna start doing this thing, and I don't care if anyone thinks I'm a loser for doing it, because the first time you do something, it's not gonna be the best version of it, and everything has started that way, and I think that you should try and make it good. You shouldn't just. There's also a lot of the opposite of this. There's a lot
Trash.
of comedians who just aren't making well thought out stuff because look, not everyone's funny, but you don't even have to be funny to make a thought. Like just be thoughtful, make this.
Just be thoughtful.
Who's your audience here? Like think
Yeah.
about it a little bit, and then
But I think the internet always wins. So it
Yes.
weeds out the shit.
Yes,
Just like,
it
I
does.
mean, there's probably terrible rappers. There's
Yeah.
probably terrible everything. You just
Yeah.
don't see it because that's not what you consume. We only notice it because we're in comedy and we see the bad. And,
it's
and
so
everybody
true.
sees
We
bad.
see the worst comedians.
I had that
That's what it
realization,
is,
Paul.
yeah.
I had a version of that realization that you're talking about when because when I started doing the Wisecrackers clubs, which we met at, they put the lineup on the website, and New York comics and nobody huge, but just people who maybe they have a show at one of the clubs or whatever. People started coming up to me and be like, "Hey, I saw you on the Wisecrackers website," and then they started treating me differently, or they asked me about the booker for Wisecrackers, or they're like,
course.
"Hey, I heard you have a podcast," and so then I just would laugh. Dude, you know how many I don't want to say that. Do you know how many female comics that I met 30 times, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Hey, Peter." Because they
trying to
saw
get
me.
canceled right now? Are you trying to get canceled?
I want to. You know what's funny is, and also this movie, I realized something that I've been a little gun shy with. I've been holding back on my true opinions on certain stuff, and I have a repressed memory. I think I might have been one of the first guys to get canceled because in 8th grade, I told a joke, like a street joke, and the joke is, why do girls' hips get wider
Jesus.
in puberty? So to make it easier to carry the laundry basket up the stairs.
That's hilarious.
It's a stupid street joke. I told that joke to a friend in 8th grade, and the 13-year-old girls that ran my school came up to me and said, "We heard you're telling sexist jokes." And I was like gonna hide in my locker. Like they went
That's
after
crazy
me.
that they thought that in 1979 when you
I
were
was
this
just
was-
gonna say this was like 65 years ago.
80,
It's like very progressive for
91. It was
They
91.
were really
It was
ahead.
close.
It's like the love era, right? What is free love, right?
yeah, I was like, wait a minute, aren't we all living in this fucking ashram together? Like, are we?
and they were still mad about your sexist jokes. They're like, free love, except Peter. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. So I remember the feeling of and actually, it's funny. I feel like I'm having like repressed memories like come to the surface. I started working at a restaurant that was very small, like very insular. Like there was only like 6 servers on the staff. And my buddy, one of my best friends, was the GM, and he brought me in. And he's like, "Listen, it's a little funny working here. It's not like the bigger restaurants we worked at because everybody's on each other's business. Everybody's gossiping. The group's got to like you, and if you're out, you're out." So one day I'm sitting at like family meal, and like the 3 women that I'm working with, the servers, are just shitting on men, and I'm just quietly fucking keeping my mouth shut and eating my food, and they're just harping. And then they're like, "What about you, Peter? What do you think?" And I was like, "Nothing. I don't think." And I'm just eating, like I'm not. And then they just kept pressing the button. And finally, I was like, "Listen, I've worked with women before. I know to keep my mouth shut." And fucking next day, the GM comes up to me, who's one of my best friends. He goes, "Dude, what the fuck did you do, dude? I brought you in here. I told you not to do anything." He goes, all these girls. I was like, I literally said, "I'm not going to say anything." He goes, "Yeah, but you said because you've worked with women before." So I was like, so they're proving my point, right?
Yeah,
like you
literally.
see the irony.
That's very ironic. Yeah.
I mean, it took me years to rectify that. Like they were like, it took literally like look, there was like literally women that 9 months later were like, "Oh, I guess, I mean, you are a nice guy, I guess." Like I was like, really?
Like, was there another dude? Because that would be amazing. Because I would just, that's such an opportunity to just make your life, like, bust your balls. Because if it was just you, another dude, and like 4 other chicks, every time you said something, I'd be like, "Oh, is it because she's a woman, Peter?"
Yeah, that really.
Oh, is it because she's a woman?
This was before
doing it,
mansplaining was a thing. This is
that because you used to work with women?
Yeah.
It's a real way to like be a douche. I don't know how I feel about Paul after he met, all right. So you've definitely been that guy before.
It's so much fun to be
It's
that
a good
guy.
pussy
Though.
getting wet. Yeah, that's a good.
No, I wouldn't do it to get
Oh,
pussy.
no?
It's just hilarious to watch
It is
the other
pretty
guy
funny.
squirm.
Yeah.
You're just driving it in.
There's nothing
is it 'cause-
worse than when your boys like leave you out to dry in that
Yeah.
scenario. They're like, "Well, I'm not gonna have them be mad at me too." You fucking pussy! You're my best friend. You fucking pussy.
Well, the
Yeah,
thing
I'm
is,
not jumping on the grenade for you.
right, exactly. You laid a grenade. We're not all gonna just jump on it.
Fuck, dude. It was
I thought we were a team.
bros before hoes. Fuck.
Yeah, I feel like Peter, you get yourself into a lot of those situations, but your heart, you don't mean.
I want to say something, and you're gonna think I'm joking, and I actually am not joking.
All right.
I think I might be a little bit autistic.
No,
because,
I don't think you're joking.
because there's something about me that wants to push those buttons and see what happens.
Yeah.
In social settings that gets me into trouble that I don't necessarily
like it,
understand.
But you don't. You like it and you don't like it at the same
Yeah,
time. You
I'm
don't
emotionally-
Like the moment.
He doesn't
He
like
likes the
the
moment.
outcome that he knows is about to happen.
Yeah.
But since he doesn't agree with it and it's an injustice, he wants to create it so he could say, "Look at what happened."
Yeah.
It's a real sickness. Yeah.
It is. All I gotta do is keep my mouth shut.
Well, yeah, I don't say shit. I
It's
do
a
on
weird
stage.
way.
I'll do it on stage or on a podcast, but like if it's just in my personal life, like why would I get myself into trouble?
No
like
way.
that? Yeah.
That's one thing I learned as I got older. Is like it's not worth it to say shit. On
Well, so-
stage, I'll say it, or on a podcast, I'll say it because
So
it's
that
fun.
was
But
me
in
as-
personal life. No way.
That was me as a server with other servers. So then I became a manager, and then I really learned, like, you can't say shh. Like, the best thing you can do as a restaurant manager is hide in the bathroom. Because as long as you're not present when something bad happens, you can always say, "Oh, I was in the liquor room, I was grabbing a bottle of wine." But if you're present when anything happens, all you can do is fuck it up. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So there have been scenarios where an employee will say, she said, "You're triggering me." And I said, "The fact that you think that is a real thing is your biggest problem."
Oh no! Why'd you say that?
Because it was true.
You know your worldview? Yeah, that's your problem. Your entire worldview.
Dude, I said to a girlfriend that your biggest problem is your worldview. That's so funny that you just said that.
I mean, that is insane to think that that's going to be like a productive thing to say.
I also.
Go ahead,
Dude,
Paul.
I just really
You're like,
quick
you
and
can't win.
Peter, calm down. Let Paul say something, please.
It's just hilarious because you're like, you can't win. Yeah, if you fucking say that, you can't win.
To a woman, to a completely what's the word? Unreasonable woman. You know, like I mean, seriously, like I kind of get it from their perspective.
Dude, I got in trouble with an ex. I literally told my ex, like, if you, like, I'm talking to you the way that I talk to my little brother, and if you would just do the shit that I told you like my little brother does, everything would be better. and I didn't understand why she didn't understand that was a smart move.
It's not a smart move.
How soon do you get broken up with after you say this stuff?
Yeah, it's a couple times, but I mean,
Pretty
it's fun.
fast,
Again, it's
right?
fun while it's lasting.
Yeah, you're like, I'm pretty. Like, do you realize right afterwards? You're like, is this over? And you're like, yeah, not bad. I
dude,
knew as soon as I said it.
With my ex, there were so many conversations where if I had eliminated 5 words in a 3-hour conversation, like everything would have been better. But I only realized that after I clicked the phone off.
I think every man's experienced that though.
Yeah.
Like where you're just like you're cruising, everything's good, and then you say one dumb thing.
You ever?
You don't even realize it's dumb until like you hit send, and you're like, oh no.
You ever see a guy? You ever see a guy who's married and maybe he has daughters, and they're doing their thing, and the guy kind of like gives you like a look with like a wink in his eye, he's like this is how I do this. I just keep my mouth shut and I go with the flow. It's like a Jedi move. There's guys that have that shit worked out to a fucking T, and it's really impressive because I want to make them understand why they're wrong.
Wait, what guys? What do you mean?
Like I've definitely met dudes who
guys that do everything that Peter doesn't do.
Yeah, that do make it work, but that they have like a twinkle in their eye because they know that I know that it's a move that they're doing. They're not like I'm not allowed to speak in the relationship. I just stand here. Like they've figured out like how to make their home life happier.
Well, they're able to be cool, but also, not a bitch, not a complete bitch, but also not get into trouble. It's like a delicate, balancing act.
Pick what you want to fight about.
Yeah.
That's the move. You can't battle. You can't, Peter, you do all the battles. Like you don't choose battles, you do them all.
I totally get it though, because Peter and I are both, we're both unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately Italian men, and Italians, we're very stupid, very passionate people in general. Not that we're stupid. I mean, I think but I do think that's such an Italian thing to just get into a fight because you have this preconceived you're right about something, and you probably are, but you already knew that going in, and you knew she was going to disagree. And
Listen,
anyway. It's such a headstrong.
My thing is, I'm ride or die. Like if you're my girl or you're my friend, and you call me and you're like, listen, I'm stuck in Ohio. I need you to come here right now and help me. I'm in the car and I'm going. But then if I get home and the toilet paper roll is empty on the fucking thing, I will set the apartment on fire. Yeah. Like like literally, if you're in a jam, I will drop everything and I will kill whoever wants to hurt you. Yeah. But if you leave a wet towel on the bed, I want to fucking get a divorce. Like I can't help myself. Like it's just
gotta let those ones go.
You honestly sound like a crazy woman in these scenarios.
Oh, dude, I'm like
burn the house down.
Dude, you know what? And again, I'm talking too much, and I'll stop after this. So I'm one of three. I'm one of 3 brothers, and I'm Sicilian. So we used to fight over which brother in The Godfather we were. And my brother's like, "You're Sonny Corleone. You're the fucking hothead." I'm like, "Man, I'm the fucking voice of reason." He goes, "Do you sound like the voice of reason right now?"
Yeah. Exactly.
And I was like, "Shit, I think I am Sonny." Yeah. So I told my ex that story, and she goes, "No, you're Connie Corleone. You're the fucking guinea brat crying and throwing the plates on the floor."
That's hilarious. She's right too. She's 100% right.
100%.
She is right. And I recognize that, and it's fine.
That's still better than being Fredo. So you're.
Oh yeah, Fredo's.
Yeah. Remember what Cuomo said? Fredo's like saying the N-word.
What? Listen,
when he said that?
I Wikipedia. Listen,
so
and this
hilarious.
I Wikipedia the Cuomo family because I was afraid they were from Sicily. They're actually from another part of Italy, and I was like, thank God,
Really?
'cause Sicily would not claim those motherfuckers.
You literally traced his birth, right?
Yeah, I looked it up.
Like I gotta know. You know, so it's hilarious. Speaking of how women start crazy shit.
Yeah.
To tie it all the way back
Go off.
to Bill and Ted
Yeah.
I saw an article today, actually, when I was like reading about Bill to prep for this podcast, that somebody wrote an op-ed piece about how wowed they are that there's going to be women in Bill and Ted 3. They're like, oh, Bill and Ted 3 is actually going to have women characters. Like, okay, like why do we got to get mad about that? Like, I guess Bill and Ted didn't really have a lot of women characters, but at least they included Joan of Arc
Yeah.
Like you could,
That was huge.
You know how
Well, they had
shitty it would
Joan
have
of
been
Arc,
if it was just
yeah.
all dude history figures.
Yeah.
At least they included one. Like some dudes won't even admit that there's historical women figures at all.
That's
At least
the
that
thing.
movie was like, you know what? We will put one in there.
Dude,
But,
it was made in the 80s. Like, I mean, look,
Yeah.
they weren't making movies with the thought of things having to pass like the Bechdel test or whatever.
Yeah.
They weren't, it wasn't in their minds, so they weren't being sexist by having mostly men. It's
It's just how it was.
yeah, just how it was. It's not a reflection of the writers and the makers of the movie, especially a movie like Bill and Ted that is not trying to make any sort of point whatsoever. You know what I mean? It's not trying to be this social thing. It's literally telling a funny story. I hate people that take things too seriously like that. It's
They
so
only
stupid.
hoped that maybe you learned a little bit of history. That was like, if
that's it.
some people know who Joan of Arc is because of this movie, we've
Sure.
done good.
I remember Socrates to this day because of
Socrates
this.
is so funny.
It's
this
funny
stuff,
because
like-
is it Socrates
The
or is
So-
it Socrates?
Well, the line is so funny because he goes, "Oh, there's that Socrates guys. Oh yeah, it's under Socrates in the
Yeah.
book." Like because they know phonetically that it's Socrates, but they're so stupid that they can't imagine that the spelling Socrates is
But how
Socrates.
even Socrates says it's weird, doesn't he? When he says his name, he doesn't say
Socrates, yeah.
Well, he
Socrates.
says it like
Well, he
in
says it
Greek.
like with a Greek.
Yeah.
I do think, and going back and watching, I think what was really smart in this movie too is not having all the historical figures speak English, because that would have been
Yeah.
a less intelligent movie would have actually just had them all speak
Sure.
English with an accent, and
Right.
that would have been less cool. Like I
You
think
know
it's
what's
cool.
hilarious is that dumb just translates in all languages.
Yeah.
Because how easily Bill and Ted convinced all these people from history to get in a phone booth and go to the future with them, even though they didn't speak the same language.
Yeah.
I was laughing so hard because he uses lyrics. He says we're all just dust in the wind, and he's like, "All right, I'll get in this phone booth with you."
Yeah, I mean, I love this movie. I love how I love Napoleon's side adventure. Like that's like the B plot.
Oh,
of the
yeah.
movie. Just everything about this movie is such a joy. And if you take this movie too seriously, then I just like it's a real indictment of your personality for me. Like if you look
Yeah.
at this movie and you go, "Oh my God, it would never happen." It's like, oh yeah, of course it wouldn't happen. Like of course this whole thing is stupid, but it's
I call
it's you know it's a good story at the end of the day. So
This is a relationship test movie.
sure, yeah.
Because
Oh,
if you
yeah.
sit your girlfriend down and we're gonna watch Bill and Ted, and then
Right.
she doesn't like it, you gotta break up. You
Yeah.
gotta break up.
I'm a fan of that.
I think for me, like during this time of pandemic and lockdown, I like movies like this make me feel better. I would much rather go back and watch like a 70s or 80s like action movie or comedy than like watch some brand new like quote unquote great film or important film. Like to me, this is like I was having a bad day today, and I put fucking Bill and Ted's on, and I started laughing, and it felt good. Like that's the beauty of these movies. Like this is like
Yeah.
the perfect time to go back and relook at all these
Well, that's
films.
the one thing I don't understand is the people watching Contagion right now.
Yeah, what the fuck's wrong?
What are you
They're
doing?
assholes.
What are you doing?
People
They're
are so
fucking
It sucks.
assholes.
It sucks already. Now you want to watch a movie that's pretty much exactly what's going on,
And
so
it's
you
not
can't
even a
ask-
good movie. It's just not
No.
all of it's stupid. If people are just dumb, they just see something and they go, "Oh, let's do the thing that is the thing." They don't have any level of thought. It's just like, "What's happening? Let's watch the thing that's happening."
It's
like
not
that.
a stupid thing. It's a
monkey see monkey.
It's
do.
a herd mentality.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
literally
exactly.
being,
It's mob
literally being
mentality.
sheep. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
it's being a sheep. Exactly. That's exactly.
Well,
what
that's
it
why
is.
you're saying that's why people are like, "Oh, I'm too anxious." That you're doing things that are making you more anxious.
Oh god,
If
yeah,
the-
that's a whole
if
other.
watching the news makes you anxious, fucking stop watching the
And
news.
of course, watching the news makes you anxious.
Dude,
like,
let-
I mean,
let
you're
them-
not helping. Like,
I watched regular TV news with my parents
Oh,
the other
God.
day,
oh, man.
and I was like, "This is horrible. It's
awful.
Terrible.
nothing substantive. It's just this might be a thing you should be scared of, and maybe you should be scared of this thing too. And here's another horrible thing that maybe you should be scared of." And I'm like, and my parents are the generation where you just watch the news at 6 o'clock. Like they feel like they
That's just a
have to
thing.
watch the news. So I'm like, why? And then they're like getting, and I'm like, why? You just turn it off. Like, you're not getting any information from this.
Well, it's hilarious because murder hornets aren't as big as an issue as the news made them to be.
You
know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're like, oh, there's murder hornets. We're all fucked. And you're like, no, we're fine. There's been
dude.
insects that'll kill you forever.
This is the thing about murder hornets. You do 1 2-minute reading of research, and you find out these aren't going to kill you if they sting you. They only kill people who are allergic to bees, or if you get swarmed by like 1,000 of them. It happens like 30 to 40 times a year in Japan, and now they're seeing them here. So maybe 30 people will die. But they make it seem like murder. You know what it is? People also just want to retweet that murder hornets are here. Like, oh, you thought it was the worst thing. Maybe I'll get 50 likes if I go, murder hornets are now a thing. It's just such a gross culture that we're in. And I think things like Twitter and the mainstream media are like the biggest reasons why the culture is perpetuated. Although, you know, I believe in people. And at the end of the day, I believe in the human spirit. And I think most people just look at Twitter and go, that's not all real. You know?
I like that they're big.
I hope that's the way it is.
A murder hornet being big makes them easier to punch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if a regular bee's coming at you, what are you going to do? But if a thing the size of your fist is coming at you, just punch it in the fucking face.
That's the dumbest Dago shit you've ever said. You punch it like Rocky. You fucking, it's a big target. Like, that's such a stupid thing. Dude, they're
what's
fucking
the best
huge
way
beasts, dude. You don't
to get stung by a murder hornet is to punch it.
Yes, good point, Paul. Yeah, that's a very silly way.
Number one, you think you have the dexterity to hit a flying murder hornet enough for it to go, okay, I'm not going to fuck with that guy. Yeah. Or you're going to swing at it, miss, and it's going to be like, fuck this dude, and then it's going to sting the shit out of you.
Listen, imagine you turn on the Channel 7 news, and it's me on a lawn in a wife beater wearing shorts with dress shoes. And I'm like, well, today I punched the murder hornet, and now I got, and they're like they're doing like a feel good story about the guy that punched the murder hornet in the face.
I mean, it would be the best thing on television.
I would immediately put a wife beater on.
I mean, it like that has to happen. That is.
I don't even smoke cigarettes. I might have a cigarette in my mouth while I get interviewed by the news.
My favorite thing is that you think that video is going to be you getting interviewed. It's just going to be one of those Twitter videos where somebody's filming you trying to punch the hornet and being like, "Look at this fucking idiot!" And you're just bobbing and weaving.
I mean, it's literally the fantasies of a retarded man. We're literally at that level. Like it's like his story he's telling himself in a mental. You're in whatever. You're in an insane asylum, and it's the story you're telling yourself.
It's okay if you are retarded.
Well, retarded men like to wear dress shoes and shorts. That's what I always knew.
So I have to tell you guys that even finding out that I'm retarded and autistic, this actually lifted my spirit today to do this podcast with you guys. Peter. I'm actually in a better mood finding out that I'm retarded than I was earlier today. So thank you guys for this.
It's good to know that if any of us attain any level of fame, that this podcast is the one that they'll dig up and get us all canceled.
Yeah. You know what? I'll be happy. I'll be proud of it. Yeah.
No, man, Paul, thank you so much for doing this, man. This is great. And everybody should just go out and fucking watch Bill and Ted's Great Adventure and feel good.
Fuck yeah, you should. If you're having a rough day, dude. Get out there.
And Paul, what? So you said you're doing your podcast via Zoom. What's it called? Where can people find it? All that stuff.
I feel like I'm gonna have 75 podcasts by the time this pandemic's over. But I'm doing a podcast called Make Yourself, which I'm trying to improve myself during the pandemic. But it's not out yet. But I am doing Make Yourself Happy Hour, I call it. So every Tuesday I go live at 5:15, and we try to do. It's like some good news with Jib Krasinski, but just not as good.
Is that Instagram Live or Facebook Live?
Facebook and YouTube.
Facebook and YouTube.
Because Instagram Live blows.
I agree.
Can we all just admit that it sucks? Yes, it doesn't let you do anything.
Well, it's funny because this might change, but you can't monetize it, right?
You can't do anything.
So there's a bunch of people that are now making more free content that they can't make any money on, and Instagram is just fucking getting hours of eyeballs.
Yeah.
Because all you could do is show your face. You can't even play videos. You can't do anything. It's just literally just this, but without any fun stuff.
Yeah.
They're talking about making some more functionality, like you could use OBS to stream to Instagram Live apparently, and do some more overlays and stuff. But yeah, it's not great. So that's on Facebook Live and YouTube. I just added you on Facebook, but definitely check that out. That's what, Tuesdays at 5:15 Eastern.
Tuesdays at 5:15.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
It's a good time.
As much as we shit on Instagram, what are your handles for the people? We'll put it in the description as well.
At Paul Spratt on everything. It's super
Beautiful.
easy.
Spratt
I was
with
ahead
two
of the game.
T's. Yeah, Spratt with 2 T's. It's very simple. We'll put all that in the description. Peter, you're gonna start making videos about your house or some shit.
Yeah. So I'm doing some improving of myself. It's so funny. My sister asked me to make her like a raised garden bed so that her kids who are home. My 5 and 3-year-old nephews are home now because school's out, and my 5-year-old nephew goes, I have to do Google Hangouts because I can't go see my friends right now. And so they're gonna teach them like how to plant and garden. So I made this one bed for my sister, and then I just put it up on Facebook. I was like, hey, if I made these, would you guys be interested? And I've gotten all of these responses. So I'm actually gonna like try to make a bunch of them and sell a bunch of them. So maybe I'll make a video of that. But then like also like the house that I built, like I'm gonna do videos on that kind of shit, and like
That's hilarious.
I'm just trying to find like creative ways to make stuff, you know?
That's how hard this pandemic is. Parents think the solution to their friends not being able to hang out with their friends is to teach them to garden.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you want to make some vegetables? Like we're on the Oregon Trail.
Honestly, dude, like I'm thinking about like, are we gonna start growing and raising our own food or what? Like, who knows? You know, might as well be ready for it.
You'll be ahead of the game.
Yeah, me and my nephews will be fucking in wife beaters selling vegetables on the side of the road. Oh, what do you want? You want some eggplant over here? But yeah, that's all I got to plug. But no, Paul, this is great, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
And
I know we'll wait a while because I just did this one, but what was the other movie we talked about that we wanted to do?
Oh, I don't remember.
There was 2 movies we were debating from, and then we chose Bill and Ted.
I got to look it up. Yeah, definitely.
Howard the Duck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. We should.
So we'll have you come back in a couple months, and we'll do this again.
We'll save that
do
for
Howard
you
the
for
Duck.
sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, but thank you for having me, and thanks for dealing with the technical shit.
No, thanks for figuring out a workaround, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let me know. I guess just send me that. I sent my email in the chat here. So
yeah, I'll send you a Dropbox link.
I was gonna say, yeah, some way of sending the file. Thanks, man. And it'll probably go up,
Couple weeks
week from today. A week from today, maybe 2 weeks. Yeah, because we're releasing one early next week, and then yours.
Nice.
So thanks, man.
Perfect.
This was great. I had a blast.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
All right.
All right. So I guess we just leave here. I don't even know how we.
Yeah, you can just X out whenever you want.
All right,
and
it's
I'll
gonna
close it,
and you know where to save it from here. It'll just auto save.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we have
Good to go.
2 episodes in the can, right?
Oh, we do.
Yeah, we have
Oh, good
Crimes
point.
and Misdemeanors, and we have Quick Change.
Oh, that's right.
So it'll be a couple weeks, but I'll let you know when the episode's coming
That's
out.
right.
And
It'll be
we'll
Just
promote
let me
it.
know so I can promote it and do all that.
We'll tag
good
you
stuff.
in everything and promote it. And
Dude, how
it'll be up on
hilarious.
YouTube too. So
How hilarious
Yeah.
is that whole Jordan Taylor thing?
Oh yeah, our last guest that we just.
So Paul, let me tell you this story real quick. So I went to an open mic in my neighborhood in East Harlem, like right as the lockdown was about to start, and you know how everybody was like a little nervous, like should I do this? Should I stay home?
Yeah.
Should I go out? So I was like, fuck it. I go to this like little coffee shop open mic, and there was this smoking hot girl there, and so I started talking to her afterwards. I was like, "Are you a comedian?" She goes, "No, my cousin is, and I just came to hang out." She goes, "Actually, I'm like a real estate agent," and I was like, "All right." So we start following each other on Instagram. And she's posting like all these, speaking of Instagram, she's like posting like Instagram videos where she's selling houses, but she's making like super cool videos about it. And I was like, oh, this girl like really knows how to like use social media, and she's like really smart, she's good on camera, and she's fucking smoking hot. So I was like, hey, you want to do my podcast? So she comes on, she does the episode, it's great. Then I go to like promote it, so I Google her. She's fucking Trevor Noah's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
She's like in Cosmo and like all over the internet. She was a model.
Twitter. Yeah.
I knew she had a big following, but I just assumed she had a big following because she's a hot girl that sells real estate.
No, yeah, she's
So
actually
she probably
No,
thinks
that's not how that works.
She probably thinks that I wanted her to do the podcast because I knew, and I had no fucking idea.
How often in comedy do you not have an idea? You know what I mean?
not-
Like,
it's- yeah.
that you had that guest and you had no idea that she had the pull. Like, you were just
Yeah.
like, this chick's hot. She seems like she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
were just like, what?
Well, literally, I saw that Jay Farrow was like liking her Instagram post. So I was like, he likes her because she's a hot chick and she's on the
Sure.
internet. But like,
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
yeah. So when I saw that, I was like, motherfucker, that's hilarious.
But did it help the episode at least?
I think so. Well, I mean, look, our YouTube channel is not big yet. I mean,
It's brand new.
It's brand new. We just started posting videos. It's doing better than a couple of the other videos in terms of view counts, but I don't nothing huge yet. So I mean,
it takes time. That shit
yeah,
takes time.
I think YouTube definitely takes time. Like,
yeah,
But it'll
there's no
always
quick
be there
way.
on YouTube.
no,
So
Yeah.
forever, when
Oh,
someone
yeah.
searches her, they're gonna find it.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
so it'll have residual effect.
I should
I mean,
tag
depending on
Trevor
how
Noah
long.
in the video.
No,
Yeah,
don't,
just-
don't.
Be like, remember this chick? She loves movies too. Did you guys watch movies together? Does this make you sad?
Yeah.
To be honest, like, me being a fucking nerdy comedian, like, I want like the Jay Farrows and the Chris Stephanos of the world to see that and be like, oh shit, what's this podcast that this girl we know?
Just ask Chris. He'll do it. I bet you if
Yeah.
you ask him, he'll do it. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
Like, super nice. Like, he seems like a D-bag, but he's really nice.
No, I think he seems like a really nice guy too. Like,
Yeah,
he's-
Chris will do it. I'm sure he'll 100% do it.
Yeah. Might as well. I
All
can't
you
hurt to
gotta
reach
do
out
is
to people
ask.
now.
And nobody's doing anything right now.
Yeah.
I know.
So-
That's we almost got
If you ever
Godfrey.
had a chance, is now.
We almost got Godfrey, but Godfrey's such a fucking flake that we can't. Godfrey's going live at 6:00 in the morning on Instagram.
Can we? Are we gonna? Can we like? I thought we were gonna put this
sorry.
part of the podcast out. No. I'm saying I'm
what?
okay recording this, but like, can we not call Godfrey a flake? I still want.
Oh no, we're still recording.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you stopped
Peter,
it.
Peter doesn't understand how any of technology works.
I thought you
ever.
stopped.
No, he doesn't know
it.
how it works.
No.
Once I hit end, it'll kick us all out.
It'll kick us off
probably.
at the end.
Wait, so can we just
Yeah.
not have that in the video?
I liked it. I thought we were keeping all of this until you said Godfrey was a flake. Now I'm not gonna keep that in.
I
of
thought we
course.
were I thought now we were just shooting the shit.
Yeah, I liked a lot of it though.
You
I
could
don't
just
know.
cut that part out.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to cut it out. The Jordan
Just
part,
do some
I think, is
editing
good.
magic.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't even. Oh, no, I don't want to talk about Jordan that way on this either.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think the way it came out was pretty like nice.
It didn't
'Cause you're-
sound bad. Why do you think it sounds bad?
Doesn't sound bad at all. It's
No, I don't
something
think-
that
You
you
said
would laugh at.
you said you had no idea. She would like the idea of knowing
Exactly.
you wanted her to have her be her on the podcast because
Right.
you liked her and
you
didn't
literally
know that
said
she was
it's because
dating
she was
Trevor Noah.
making cool videos
Yeah.
and she seemed to know what she was doing.
Yeah.
That's such a nice thing to say about
Yeah,
her.
Should I-
you
should
only
I-
compliment her.
You
Should I
in her
DM her and be
DMs,
like-
you should DM her this clip and you should be like, hey, just don't forget about me or something like that.
No.
I mean, she is beautiful. It's crazy. Paul, you have to see this girl. She's
I'll have to
so-
see what she looks like. I'll have
Yeah.
to look her up. I'm gonna do her right now while I'm on
It's a
you
funny
guys. So you can see
YouTube
her.
watch to watch her talking to us because it's just like, who are these two guys?
Yeah,
Talking to
like,
this
how did they
beautiful
end up-
woman in an amazing apartment? Like she's just like a top tier like person. So
She's like
funny.
on red
think
carpets with fucking Trevor Noah, and I'm like, hey, do you want to do my podcast?
Which one is it? Is it Taylor Cut Films? No,
Cut
that's
Films.
a dude.
Wait,
That's
what?
a dude.
Jordan, just
How do you-
Jordan.
If you
Taylor.
type into YouTube, "Kill You Last," and then it should be one of the first ones. It's Labyrinth. Is the movie we
Ooh,
did.
what a great movie too.
Yeah, it was a weird one. Yeah, she picked it. But
Did she just talk about David Bowie's dick the whole time?
I
it
brought up-
came up.
I brought that up. Peter was like, "Oh, I never even noticed." I was like, I was staring at his hog the whole time.
How can you not notice? They literally
know, I
like
don't
zoom in and they like 3 or 4 times.
I think I blocked it off. Like,
Yeah, but
I got upset when I realized that it was basically like Eyes Wide Shut with a child.
Oh wow,
Okay.
she is super hot.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if you. Oh, you could see it. Are you on Instagram or?
I'm on
yeah.
YouTube right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. You should. Yeah.
Wow.
I started looking through her followers. It's like everybody at the Cellar, every fucking major comedian. It's like, because that'll be
gonna be
cool.
That's got to be the tough part when you're a famous comic and you hang out and you have a hot chick. All your buddies just follow her and just like,
Oh, dude.
ugh, look at this chick, and you're like, ah,
Dude, I know. Yeah, comics are the worst with that. All right. Well, I feel good about all this. I'm gonna keep all this in. You're gonna have to say sorry to Godfrey in person because he's gonna fucking kill you. So.
Do you know what?
I
Wait.
think-
Do you know when I met?
ahead.
I had met Godfrey in passing, but like, you know Andre Kim, Paul?
I do.
So he's one of my really good friends, and so obviously he's really close with Godfrey, and so he calls Andre Asian Andre.
Yeah.
And we know a woman who's a comedian who thought that Godfrey's name was Gilbert Godfrey. So
crazy.
I told Andre, I was like, dude, one time when he calls you Asian Andre, just call him Black Gilbert Godfrey.
That's hilarious.
And Andre, like on air, fucks it up and goes, hey, my friend bet me that I wouldn't call you Black Godfrey. And Godfrey's like, what the fuck? He goes, I guarantee. He's like, is that guy a comedian? Because I guarantee he's never made anybody laugh in his whole life. And all this shit. And then he explains why Asian Andre is funny, but Black Godfrey is not funny.
But
because
that's not
He
the
is
joke.
Black Godfrey.
because it's two A sounds. He's literally going like Asian Andre, A. So like the next week, I meet up with him and he goes, hey Godfrey, this is my friend that was the one that said to call you Black Godfrey. But then Godfrey was like cool about it, and then Godfrey does the Steve Harvey to me personally.
Yeah.
And it was
I saw
fucking
the
incredible. It was
He's
fucking
so talented.
It was
insane.
awesome.
Yeah, he's so good.
Such a
I know
good
you're.
stand-up.
We're all trying to go, but I'll tell you
Yeah.
two quick stories. And then
Yeah,
I love
please.
Andre. I also think he blocked me on everything for some weird reason. So I'll tell you a quick story why I think that happens, because he was doing an Instagram live. I'm not 100% sure, but like I can't look up his Instagram anymore.
So weird.
So he was on an Instagram live with this. Should I tell this? Fuck it, I'm going to tell this story.
Well, I mean,
And,
here's the thing. You tell it, and we're probably cutting most of this part out anyway. So just tell it.
So there was this waitress at the Hartford Funny Bone that me and Andre do all the time, and both inadvertently we both didn't know that we were both kind of hitting on her. I don't care. I'm not whatever, dude. To each his own. I don't mind.
Yeah.
So he was on Instagram Live with her. So I was fucking with him and her in the comments, right? Because Andre was talking shit to her, and then I was like, "Yeah, she's a tease. Like this is bullshit." Like just adding to it because I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And then she like left the Instagram, and he's like, "Yeah, Paul, you're right." Like all the other stuff, and then I can't look up any of his stuff afterwards. So, but me and Andre always have weird interactions because I like Andre. I always think he's great, and I have fun with him.
Sure.
But weird stuff always happens when me and him are together. Because the last time I hung out with Andre in person, it was at the Pear, and there was drunk girls over there, and one came over to Andre and was hitting on him and goes, "Hey, my friend thinks you're hot or whatever," and Andre goes, "What is?" I forget how it went, but he got mad that she was Asian. And that he's
that
like,
the
just
friend
because
was
she's Asian.
Oh, that's
yeah,
funny.
yeah. And they're like, just because you think. But then he got mad and like stormed out, and I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Like you care about it that much that like, and he was like, oh, I guess you get tired of Asian people trying to hook me up with other Asian people. I'm like, oh, because you have so many fucking problems. Like what?
Yeah.
Like that's
well,
me
you gotta
getting.
remember
That's
about
like,
Andre. He's 20. What is he? 23.
Yeah.
He's so young, dude.
I told him
It's so
early
funny
on.
how Andre talks like a fucking 40-year-old black
Yeah.
man, but he's 22 years old.
I told him early on that I was like, you better learn how to fucking talk to hot black girls because they're gonna when they see you with Godfrey, they're gonna start coming out of the woodwork.
coming at
and
you.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what fucking happened. Like
Yeah.
you have to he's had to learn how to manage women in a different way because of the whole Godfrey situation. So I think he's still like figuring it out,
Yeah.
And I'm pissed that neither one of you's ever taken me to the fucking Hartford Funny Bone. What the fuck?
should have fucking asked, bro. That's all you
Yeah.
got to do.
Can we go
ask,
now?
bud.
Can you bring
No,
us
apparently not.
It's closed right now.
I know,
The
dude.
fucking zoo's closed, Peter.
I was booked at Wisecrackers fucking Allentown March 20th, and I really thought maybe that show was gonna go, and then fucking 2 days beforehand, she's like, "We're closing the club." I'm
Dude,
like,
I had
"Shit."
everything canceled. Everything.
Yeah.
It sucked. I've never got so many sad emails in such a short amount of time.
I know, it sucks.
But quick Godfrey story, because I had two stories. So when I first started doing when I first came to New York, when I first started, I was always doing it in Pennsylvania for a while. Then I came, and I got passed for check spots at Stand Up New York back when, like way back, it was a while ago, when Julius still ran the street team, all that stuff.
yeah.
And so I got passed for check spots, and every time I got one, Godfrey was before me. And if you have ever wanted to experience bombing on a whole other level, is to have somebody destroy like Godfrey, and Godfrey destroys.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's
then
ridiculous. Yeah.
It murders. And then the host doesn't do any time. He comes up and he goes, so you guys are going to get your checks. We're going to have somebody on stage while you're doing checks. So not only am I doing checks, and I'm still new to the city, but Godfrey just obliterates.
Yeah.
And so it started happening so often that I started taking it personal. So I would walk in and Godfrey would be there, and I'm like, please tell me you're not going before checks. And he's like, why? And I'm like, dude, every time I'm just trying to get past at this club, and every time you go up and fucking murder, and I have no chance. And he just started laughing, and he goes, I'll try and not murder this time. Like with right? And he fucking just looks at me, he's like, I'll try not to, and then just smiles that giant Godfrey smile, and then murders harder.
Yeah, I would say there's no way that's happening.
I would say,
I mean, Godfrey's gonna do what he does.
and I haven't seen everybody, and I don't think they're the best comedians necessarily, but I think Greer and Godfrey kill in New York City more than anyone kills in New York City.
That's fair.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I've seen both of them in dead rooms
and just
fucking destroy.
Yeah.
Greer, drunk off his ass, 15th comic on a Julius show, kills in a dead room.
Definitely.
And Godfrey, Godfrey, I saw him at a show where the audience is heckling every fucking comedian, and he gets up and just starts fucking around and kills.
Yeah, he doesn't even care. He just murders.
No, that's like he's fucking. It's like he's going to Dwayne Reed.
Well, he has a bunch of stories. If you listen to him, he used to have to follow Cosby.
Yeah, he was the warm-up comic for the Cosby Show.
He had a tough gig going.
Yeah,
that's what. Made him
he's
so
one
strong.
of the. He's a real fucking vet. Like he's an OG.
That made me a better comic for sure. But at the time, it fucking sucked. At the time, it sucked so hard.
Everything is so like short term when you're doing it, but then in the long run, that definitely makes you. I mean, it definitely makes you a better comedian for sure. Yeah.
But at the time, you're like, I'm never gonna get past at this place. Ever.
Right. All right, I gotta run, guys. But it was
I gotta pee so bad.
Yeah, me too. I had a ton of fun talking to you guys. Just Paul, let me know if you have any issues. Send it to me, but I'm sure it'll work out.
Nah, it'll be fine. I'll send it right now as soon as it finishes doing whatever I got to do, and then I'll shoot it over.
All right, man.
So I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, be good,
guys. Have a good one.
Later.
Bye.